Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Deltana PH60 pivot knife hinge, is what these are called, and that's what the packaging looks like when they come in. I've got one partially unpackaged. It's wrapped in this tissue paper. And the hinge I'll be showing you today is in a polished nickel finish, which is the US 14. Okay, here's what it looks like. Immediately you're impressed in the weight of the item, and this is just one piece of a pair. Okay. Just going to show this to you before I start talking about it. Very thick pieces of brass there. This has completely non-handed. Okay, you could, install it this way. Well, showing it to you this way, let's say. Okay, for something that would be like a right hand or a left hand reverse. You could certainly flip it over. Okay, and at that point you would certainly refer to the template drawing that is here. There's a link below this video to the template, and that's going to show everything important dimensionally about the knife pivot, but more so shows you that you can remove the pivot stud from here. Okay. Everything dimensionally important is in that template. Okay, so what you're looking at is a 4 3/8 overall length. I'm going to get the tape measure and verify some of that. I've noticed that at times the Deltana templates I've noticed a couple that were not drawn exactly correct dimensionally. So make sure you lay everything out before you start machining doors, or if you can wait, get the hardware in hand and then measure everything. So 4 3/8 overall length. Okay, the material width is 5/8, and the thickness is it's quite substantial. And the situation is these are rated for 200-pound doors, so they're for quite substantial thickness of doors. Okay, and it's all solid brass material. This would be considered a an offset style pivot, although they call it a knife hinge. Okay, and I've installed these before. I have machined for these before. Okay, and there's no hard and fast rules about how you're going to go about doing that. And they're not always mortised to the bottom of the door. But the situation is that they, if you're doing cabinetry, you're certainly going to want to mortise this material into the jamb, into the door itself, if you're able to, because this will take up a significant amount of space if you're not mortising it. But the bottom line is it's very good fit and finish on this knife hinge, and the quality of the finish is very good. Okay, the pivot stud, is cleanly put in. They didn't strip that out as they were putting it in. Screws are included in a complementary finish. Okay, and these knife hinges by Deltana are available in several different finishes, and you can select those on the right-hand side of the page of the extended description. And they generally keep a significant amount of inventory on hand. They're considered offset because the axis of pivoting of both of your, I'm not going to unwrap both of them, but the axis of pivoting, okay, right through the center of the stud, the pivot point, is a specific dimension off of the face of the door. Very commonly, pivots for doors are very often 3/4 inch. Okay, and you could call this a 3/4 inch offset pivot as well, but that dimension is defined as the distance from the face of the door to the center of the pivoting axis. So if we were going to make this 3/4 inch offset, you would see that this would be mortised into the door a bit. Obviously, you wouldn't mortise it to the face so that you could see it. But 3/4 offset is very typical and very common. You're going to see pivots like this installed in, the last time I installed these was in a wardrobe situation in a bathroom, master bathroom. The client wanted the doors to be not cluttered with hardware. They wanted to not see much hardware. And we were able to mortise this material into the header and into the door so that all you were seeing was just this sort of aspect. That's all you saw at the top. Okay. Then at the bottom, we were able to mortise it such that, and it was a little tough, we had to cut it a little shallow because you can't come all the way down with your mortise. You could work your machining in different ways to accomplish it, but we came down, and left a little bit of room. I forget the dimension, 3/16 of an inch, mortised that in so that the floor portion, this portion, was attached directly to the floor, a tile floor. That was really the only way to do that at the floor, and it worked out quite perfectly. The disadvantage with hanging full-size doors on pivots like this, full-size wood doors like 7 foot, 6 foot 8 foot tall doors, is that if you have any warp in the wood door, technically the door manufacturer will most likely say, well, yeah, the warranty is void because they're not properly hung. They don't consider a set of pivots like this without an intermediate pivot as something that's considered properly hung, because you're missing the hinge in the middle, which really doesn't bear a lot of the weight of the door, but it sure keeps it straight in line with the jamb. And it's not a major problem, but in my experience, 1 out of every 10 doors, wood doors, will have a little bow to it. And if you're dealing with large doors, then yes, that could certainly be an issue. If you're dealing with small doors, this pivot's probably overkill for cabinetry. Well, it certainly is rated for 200 pounds. But keep that in mind as you are selecting hardware. They're really gorgeous, and I have seen these installed in reasonably sized doors, small closet doors, really, linen closets in modern homes, and the finish and the design, the shape complement each other very, very well. A good quality company, Deltana. They're a full line importer of a lot of solid brass material. Their customer service is very good. They're knowledgeable people. They're friendly people. They respond very well. They're appreciative of the business. And I like to send as much their way as I can because I'm always impressed with the fit and finish of their line of imported material. And that's just the bottom line. Do check your template before you start machining stuff. If you have any questions on machining, feel free to reach out. Now, if I was going to do this, if I was going to do one and I was super lazy, I would probably just chisel it by hand. But if I was going to do more than one, I would take the time and make a template that I would be able to attach to the top and bottom of the door, so that I would use my router, okay, and I would create that preparation. Being that this is, I think, 5/8 wide, yes, okay, you're going to want to make sure you've got the right diameter bit to be able to do this kind of work. You'll still need to do a little bit of it by hand, but not very much, just where the pivot arm, the pivoting portion projects out of the face of the door. You want to be real careful as your router is leaving that. But if you're routing this stuff, you probably have at least as much experience as I do doing it. And as always, it's a really, really nice product. Any questions on the Deltana PH60 pocket knife pivot or any other Deltana product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.